when we're talking about efficiency, we need to break down those silos.
Yeah.
And we need to have everybody walk and talk the same thing. And
Yeah.
what we promote is having a common language around impact.
Okay.
Impact is what the customers are getting from using your product. That's
Right.
the common thread.
And
So marketing needs to market based on the potential impact and create awareness and educate the customers. SDRs need to qualify on impact. Sellers need to sell on impact.
welcome back to Exploring Growth. A lot of people following this show are founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs looking for scale after finding product market fit. And today I'm talking with Roee Hartuv, revenue architect at Winning by Design. And we're going to talk through go-to-market mindset and strategy. And if you're working on scale, I think you'll find some great nuggets to apply to your company from this conversation. So it's going to be a fun conversation. Welcome, Roee.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah. So like I do with most of my guests, before we jump into our conversation on go-to-market, give us some of your background. Tell us who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. So my name is Roee Hartuv. Like probably many of our listeners, I started my career in sales. Actually, I studied computer science, but I never coded for money in my life. Found myself, or the first role that I took on was sales engineer, helping the sales team sell. I really liked the customer facing roles, and quickly I found myself actually going into a sales role.
Nice.
Slowly made my way up, director and VP level. And then I would say 4 years ago, I moved to the dark side and became a consultant. So right now I'm working for Winning by Design, and I have the privilege of working with B2B recurring revenue companies at that scale-up mode, helping them improve their go-to-market strategy, build processes to support that strategy. And that's what I do.
I love it. And now you're based in Germany, right?
Yes, I'm based in Germany. Yeah.
How long have you been over there?
8 years. I'm originally from Israel, moved here, opened a European office for an Israeli SaaS company.
Yeah.
And, 8 years later.
One thing leads to another and you're still there, right? You must like it.
Yeah. We love it here.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's jump into this. So early stage, how I wanted to kind of frame this conversation is we'll talk about early stage companies, and we'll talk through that, and then we'll jump to second stage and talk about that a little bit separately. So early stage companies, what is it that they're trying to, what do you see them? Because I know you work with hundreds of these companies in the past. What do you see them doing, and what's working and what's not working?
Yeah. So let's define an early stage, because a lot of people use it different ways. We at Winning by Design, we define early stage company as a startup company, a company that has found their product market fit, and now they're on the way to find their go-to-market fit.
Gotcha.
Now, product market fit, without going exactly what numbers we're looking for, but product market fit means that there are customers out there that are willing to pay to use your product.
Yes.
And go-to-market fit is once you find how to sell and you're able to sell that in a repeatable process. And again, here, without going into exactly the numbers, does it take place at 5 million, 10 million, 20 million? What we like to search for is where you start to see common things that happen throughout, let's say, it's usually the customer's journey, but let's focus on the sales process right now.
Yeah.
You start to attract and close the same type of customers. The ACV start to be in the same ranges. Sales duration, almost the sales, right? Almost the same. It's not as when you are a startup, there's early stages that you sell to different customers.
Yeah.
Anybody that comes in, you sell to them.
Yeah.
One client you close after 2 weeks, the other client you close after 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all over the place.
Right.
Finding that repeatable process is what custom companies at this early stage need to focus on.
Gotcha. Yeah. So they're refining who their ICP is and what value that customer is getting from them and the value then they're getting from that customer.
Mm-hmm.
More and more, the more customers they bring on, the more they work with, the more they talk with prospects. Okay. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And the common step, as you said, right? First of all, we need to define, you said the value that we're getting from them.
Mm-hmm.
Value is money, right? So
right.
the first thing you probably need to do is define a pricing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to monetize that? Are you doing that on consumption based or on a monthly subscription based? So you need to focus that.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, you need to have the founder or the founders focus on that growth. And I use the term growth and not sales, like founders let's sales, because we know that there are other types of acquiring customers, such as PLG, right? And
Sure.
PLG motion is the founder that actually sits over the weekend and responds to feedback on the product and fix and add new features.
Right.
Only then you start hiring experienced salespeople to actually join you. So
right.
our advice is, as founders, before you start hiring the very expensive resources of sellers, make sure that you, who probably know the problem intimately because you're building a company and a product, are or is able to sell that.
Yeah.
Once you do that, define a data model. What is the customer journey? How does that look like? What do you measure when and how? Define the go-to-market model, right? At some point, okay, I'm selling to enterprise, I'm selling to mid-market, I'm using direct, or I'm selling outbound. Define what is your go-to-market model, and then find that repeatability.
Yeah. And that's, you're going to find that as you, are you saying that you're saying point to the buyer's journey to find where that sort of entry point is so you can narrow that down and create a system around it?
Yes. So you need to define the customer journey, and the customer journey, I'm not talking the classical marketing kind of customer journey, like, okay, they get to a website, etc.
Yeah.
It's more than that. Like, who sells, what activities, key actions that we need to take throughout the sales process? How do we onboard them? What does this customer success do with them, etc.?
Sure,
so
yeah.
looking at that customer journey,
yeah,
this is where we start creating those processes. Processes create that repeatability,
for sure.
thereby creates that go-to-market fit.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think your focus on what I would call bottom of the funnel conversion and sales process, onboarding, and obviously, first impression customer success being high, to bode well for retention. This is where you spend a lot of your time. I mean, some of it has to be dedicated at some point to finding new customers that you can bring into that process. But yes, you got to really refine this a lot, because when you want to try to scale up now and try to find hundreds, or I don't know, tens or hundreds or even thousands of new people to come into that, it's got to be really well defined.
That's right. Yeah. And that refinement, those testing that you do, allows you to really narrow down what you're selling to, who you're selling, how you're selling. All this takes place in that early stages.
So would you say that at this stage, they need to spend most of their time on the sales process itself?
Yes, because you don't have customers. You don't have a lot of customers to retain and expand.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah. So there's not a lot of effort spent there. So it's really more about,
you do focus a lot on acquiring new logos.
Yeah. Okay. So it's developing new business, obviously, but what you're going to do with that, the conversion rate is the way I would put it, in through the sales process. Because those touches, they could be, as little as 2 meetings, probably not, and as much as 12 to 20 meetings, depending on how long the sales cycle is.
That's right. But there's also like a wider thing that we need as a company. The sales process comes after, or the sales focus comes after the product focus. In those early stages, you're very focused on the product.
Sure.
And that's where most of the resources, when you think of it, go to, right? You need to get the product right.
Right. Yeah, it's MVP, iterating quickly. Is this a bug or a feature kind of thing? And then when you really start to get some traction for sure, is dialing in your pricing and knowing, okay, do we have a margin here? Is this scalable? What does this look like for building a team around it? And if all the lights are green, then you're starting to work. You're starting to really refine that sales process and start moving up the funnel or up the journey.
That's right.
Yep. Love that. Okay. Yeah. So for Signal Media, my content agency, we have a framework for buyer's journey, but it's really heavy on the marketing side. It's anchor, it's awareness, nurture, conversion, referrals, retention, right? So the referral retention part is going to bloom out of what you're talking about. You're talking more structural journey at this point.
Yes.
So I know you've worked with a lot of companies helping them do this, and anybody that while they're listening to this wants to go to the website, winningbydesign.com. Yeah, got a lot of really good resources on there, some courses, all kinds of stuff. So check that out while you're listening. Can you give us an example of a company maybe that you've worked with and helped them do this, so we can kind of get our hands around what we're talking about?
Yeah, our classical use case, and I can't use specific names, but the classical use case are companies, let's say, that have a great product, but are lacking those processes, right? Okay, they have traction. The product is good. Customers are coming in. They are able to retain and improve the product. And then they need to standardize the sales process.
Yeah.
This is like our bread and butter.
Yeah.
Right. So come in. These are best practices. When we come in, we usually do some sort of a diagnostic and analysis. Sure. Right. What's the current state of the business? Yeah. But then we start creating. We call them playbooks, right? Let's do the sales playbook, a customer success playbook. So a lot of these type of work to standardize the process based on our best practices, or what we believe are industry best practices, together with what the company is currently doing well.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so where does this how does it translate now or transform into second stage? We look to move to a company that is beyond, I don't know, 10, 20 million, and they've got all their sales stuff in place, and they've got a really good solid. They've really started working on marketing now. And maybe even brand. What does that look like to move to a second stage company?
Yeah, let's talk. In order to answer that, I just want to differentiate between what happened until the market crashed, or the SaaS recession, as it's called, right? 2021. So before 2021 and after 2021. After 2021, we didn't really see a difference. Everybody were buying from everybody. Money was cheap. SaaS company was selling to other SaaS companies. Yeah. Happy days, right?
Yeah.
Companies continue to focus, and this is the term that is being used a lot, grow at all costs kind of mentality. In that grow at all cost mentality, you just pour more resources on headcount, mostly on sales, focusing on that new business. And yeah, let's bring in more customers let's bring more customers, hoping that they would not churn. And when money was abundant, it wasn't a problem.
Sure.
And that came at a cost. And after the market crashed, people were starting to be laid off. Companies churned or stopped using a lot of their SaaS solutions. This is where, Warren Buffett says that when the tide is low, you see who is swimming naked or swimming without a bathing suit. That's
that was good. Quote, right? Well, basically, who has value?
Who has value?
True value. Yeah.
Yeah. And what happened is that, all right, it was a balloon. Like a lot of companies, public companies, you saw like Dropbox, companies
Yeah.
like that, like their cost structure could
Mhm.
not, their growth dropped or stalled or dropped.
Mhm.
And got a lot of examples. Dropbox is just one of them.
Yeah.
But the cost structure remained really high.
Mhm.
They were paying high salaries for AEs that were not bringing in what is an appropriate
Mhm.
um, um, ARR in a year.
Mhm.
And those companies and alike still had that grow at all cost mentality. Let's
Yeah.
pour
Part of their
more
culture.
resources. And yeah,
Yeah.
it worked 2021, but now it doesn't work anymore.
Okay. So there's got to be a shift then. You can't just throw salespeople at it. How did it shift?
All right. And that's where the shift, right? So the more the mature company is,
Mhm.
the less focus is on, I wouldn't say less focus on product, but the importance of focusing on executing go to market strategies and processes more efficiently, it becomes much more important.
Mhm.
And that's the shift. So, and when we're talking about operating more efficiently, we're talking basically on around cost or productivity per rep, right?
Mhm.
Using smaller or limited resources in order to create or to generate more revenue.
Mhm.
That's why we're here, and that's what happened after 2021.
Okay. So trying to be more efficient so they can grow sustainably.
That's right, and that's what the focus should be in that scale up mode.
Okay.
So in that scale up mode, we need to continue to grow, but we need to now start looking at cost.
Gotcha. So then what's the natural shift then away from salespeople to content marketing?
That's one thing.
Mhm.
Marketing has a pivotal role. And what we see here is that in a lot of companies, I see marketing thinking only on top of the funnel
Yeah, I see that a lot too. Yeah.
and not thinking about, I'm not even talking about middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. I'm even talking about supporting. You said that in the way you guys help companies focusing on retention, supporting
Mhm.
customer success.
Mhm.
In a lot of places, when we go in and say, hey, marketing, how are you supporting your existing customers? Oh, yeah, we send them a newsletter
Yeah.
every month. Yeah, like who reads that? What value do you actually
Yeah.
provide to your existing customers?
Right.
You have a customer advisory board. You have more things that could actually
Mhm.
help them. Are you generating a community of your existing customers around the product that
Yeah.
they can share experiences? And I'm not even talking about having marketing support the expansion opportunities, which of course is the next level.
Sure.
So that's one thing. But you see, from what I'm talking about, is like shifting the focus. And again, it's not completely shifting. Like we're always going to continue to focus on new business, on acquisition, new logos.
Mhm.
But let's make sure that we focus on where recurring revenue takes place, which it takes place in the CS, like the post sale
Mhm.
part of the customer journey.
Yes, it does. And of course, your model has to be set up to have recurring revenue. It has to be set up for taking advantage of uh, places to add more value once the client, the prospect becomes a client over time, so that LTV can grow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, no, I mean, what you're saying is ringing true for me because I see it a lot. We have some clients that we only help them with retention because the way they get business is through channel partners, and there's not a ton of marketing that needs to happen for them to get new business. Beautiful thing, right? But they've got to keep the business.
Yeah.
So they're in the business of relationships and making sure those relationships are solid. That there's clear communication, transparency. They're bringing them all the newest stuff so that the client doesn't have to think about it. That we use email newsletters, but it's not just sending them an email newsletter. Saying it's communicating and building a relationship that can last as long as it possibly can last. And in our clients' terms, it lasts for decades. At sometimes, we're not talking 2-3 months churn, or even 18-month churn. We're talking about years and years. So
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, it's fortifying. So, taking from the first part, early stage, you build your sales process and your structure of bringing them in, and then you fortify it with marketing in your second stage. And what's so great about that is you have all the insights and feedback that you're getting during that time to turn into new marketing to reach new people with the same problems and
Yeah.
same desires.
Yeah. And that's why it's crucial to have marketing also involved with the CS team, the account management team. That in a lot of cases it's overlooked, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. We're involved with a client right now that's going through an upgrade of their system, and so it affects their customers. And so communication is a lot of what content marketing is. It's messaging. That when you get down to it, that's why it works, is because the messaging's right. And so we've been pulled in to help with communication. And it's funny how you really need someone who thinks about communicating all day to come and sit with people who are making digital changes with technology, to look at the customer and say, okay, well, what's going to happen when the customer tries to do this thing they always do on reflex? Well, they're not. This is going to happen. It's going to be bad, and they're not going to like it. Okay, well, let's start there, and let's put some messaging in place there, and then work backwards to how we can proactively tell them that that's going to happen. But not having us at the table means a lot more headache for the customer, a lot poorer experience, and potentially drop off.
Yeah, and let's talk about the root cause of that, not having marketing at the table. The other side is the classical, and again, this is thrown around a lot, but it is true, that siloed approach, each team doing their own thing. And coming back to, we're searching for efficiency in how we manage and how we operate our go-to-market team. We need to make sure that everybody is aligned across that customer journey. That siloed approach talks about marketing doing their own thing, creating MQLs. In a lot of cases, marketing and sales, or SDRs, they don't agree what MQLs actually means. Marketing defines it one way, sales defines it a different way, and then we see, hey, the leads that you're generating is garbage, you're low quality, and marketing is like, you're not following up fast enough. So that's the constant beef, right? And then you have sales and customer success.
Yep.
Sales, we're just here to close. Sending the opportunity or the customer across the fence. CS, make sure you give them a fantastic onboarding experience. I sold them something that, up to you to deliver, right?
It's up to you to figure out what I sold them.
Exactly that. And customer success and account management. So when we're talking about efficiency, we need to break down those silos.
Yeah.
And we need to have everybody walk and talk the same thing. And what we promote is having a common language around impact.
Okay.
Impact is what the customers are getting from using your product. That's the common thread. And so marketing needs to market based on the potential impact and create awareness and educate the customers. SDRs need to qualify on impact. Sellers need to sell on impact, not on features.
Yep.
We need to onboard based on impact. Customer success need to make sure that the customers are getting impact. And when they're getting, they need to show them the impact, prove to them the impact that they're getting. And we need to upsell and cross-sell based on additional impact that we can do. That's a common thread that we need all the different teams to talk. And by doing that, we become customer-centric.
Yes. Yeah, it's the best way to go to manage those teams as well, to keep everybody in lockstep of what we're all rowing in the same direction. When you say impact, I use the word value, but sometimes I'll use the word outcomes because, why is someone going to go through all of this and spend money? They want to achieve some kind of expected outcome. And I think so we call it impact. If we are looking at impact that happens after the sale, so they spend the money and then the next day this happens and they're starting to achieve impact, or a series of things happen over time and then they achieve that impact over time. However it may be, that happens after the sale. how much needs to be focused prior to the sale on impact?
100%, right? When you think about that, in the good old days, before we SaaS existed or recurring revenue existed, let's say before 2010, like Salesforce is known to be, they're not the first one, but they are the ones that are considered to
Sure.
introduce that. Before they came along with that recurring revenue model,
Mm-hmm.
take for example me. When I started my sales career, I sold perpetual software.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care, right?
Yeah.
What happened to the customer after they signed the contract and did the first payment? Because not the first, did the payment because they pay upfront.
Yeah.
If they, reached impact, what sort of impact? I don't care. I got the
Yeah. It
money.
wasn't really. Yeah.
Yeah, all the risk was on the buyer,
Yeah.
right? Because if they did the wrong buy,
Mm-hmm.
they can get their money back. There is some brand risk for me, but it's basically the
Sure.
buyer. In a recurring revenue business, right? They can churn after the first period.
Yeah.
And we know that we're not making money on the first period, right? We need to
Mm-hmm.
have our customers stick with us 2, 3, 5 periods
Mm-hmm.
until we're actually profitable on that specific account.
Right.
And when you think of it, the risk is on me now.
Yeah.
If I don't care, if I as a seller don't care about the impact that the customer is going to get, I'm not doing my job correctly. Because all of a sudden the risk is on me, because if they churn, if they don't get to impact, they will churn. They won't churn. I lost money on that account.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes you have to produce new and different impact as the account grows.
That's right. You're constantly, but that's the customer success and account management team. They're responsible. But coming back to your question, as sellers, I need to make sure that I sell on impact,
Mm-hmm.
that I sell on the right impact. Because if selling on the right impact, meaning I'm selling the right solution to the right customer. If I'm selling outside of my ICP, they will churn. If I'm overselling, overpromising within our ICP, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to churn. So I need to focus my sales process on impact. That's the difference in recurring revenue.
Yeah, it makes the whole model a little bit more honest, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
it has to be transparent. From a marketing standpoint, we're taking it to the next level because we want to warm them up for the impact that they're going to be discussing getting during the sales process. And so we almost have to add our own unique value before that we even get to impact, before we even get into discussing what impact they could have.
That's right.
We almost have to have our own separate impact that gets them to a conversation about the ultimate impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's something that I would like to add that you're probably, as marketing, that, but not all sellers understand that.
Mm-hmm.
There are two kinds of impact. You call it value, we call it impact. There are two types of impact. There's the rational impact. That's the classical make more money or lower cost.
Mm-hmm.
Some even say that's the risk, but everything underneath that, like you can break it down, making more money or reducing cost, let's say saving time, etc.
Saving time, yeah.
Variations of that.
Yeah.
But there's an emotional impact as well.
Yeah.
And we all know that. And sometimes we can sell on that emotional impact. And when we sell to multiple stakeholders, multiple people have can get different emotional impact.
For sure.
If I have a champion, the best impact that I could, emotional impact I can create for him or her is by making them look good in the organization.
For sure.
If that's their motivation, I need to sell on that. Hey, if you use my product, and we'll be successfully rolling this out. I will
Yeah.
save the company money, but also I will have a personal emotional impact on you because I will make you look good in front of
Yeah.
everybody and you'll get promoted 6 months after.
Yeah. So they actually get a double impact in their world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you need to understand who you're talking to understand
Sure.
what type of impact. And here's another tip: the higher up you go, the less emotional, the more rational it is, right? So you're selling to a VP level, director level,
Yeah.
they care about how you're going to save them time, make more money, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're starting off with actual users, we know it's not part of the sales process. Sometimes you have champions, you have users, you have initiators, whatever their role is. Users might like the user interface. That's an emotional impact, right?
Yeah.
Same type of emotional impact I get from using my iPhone, right? It makes
Yeah.
me
Right.
feel happy. So yeah, impact varies, or at least emotional impact varies from person to person, from stakeholder to stakeholder.
Yeah.
And there's the rational impact that usually make more money, lower cost. That's
Yeah.
usually
Save
for the
time.
company. It stays
Yeah.
relatively the same for the different stakeholders.
Yeah, you can't really orchestrate it, but you kind of sell to the person that you're selling to. But the best that I've seen is whenever you sell something based on something that's rational or logical, and then a few months later or however much longer later, when the impact actually happens in the way that you described it, they experience that emotional impact and then tell you about it, and you didn't even talk about the emotional side of it. So they got this double impact. That's the best if you can get the emotional on the back end.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to sell to it on the front end, but if you can get it on the back end, then I've found that those customers, as far as it's in their purview to control the account and stick with you, they'll stick with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is great. I mean, I love talking through this. Of course, because it's partially what we do in helping marketing sales teams go to market and refine their message and create content behind it. So thanks for walking us through this. It's a great conversation.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, so if I want to send people your way, where do we send them? I know we said winningbydesign.com, but where else?
Yeah, so winningbydesign.com if you want to learn. We've got a ton of open source IP that you can use if you want to learn more. Start there. Yeah, and LinkedIn, either me or Winning by Design, the company.
Yeah.
We share a lot of great content there. We do some open webinars, of course, and there's a book called The Revenue Architecture that talks about everything that we talked about today and much more than that.
Revenue architecture. Okay, yeah. We'll have to put a link to that. Hey, thanks again for this. It's been great.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.